if I draw a line from the center of the circle up to right here, the angle of that line is 45 degrees. If I draw a line going down, the angle of that line, I say, is 270 degrees. We are going to talk about the arctangent 2 function. Oops, sorry. Okay, this is the same code that I had before. I'm not going to be dealing with an ellipse at the moment. I'm just going to deal just simply with the circle. So you can see that I commented out the major and minor radius. I just kept the standard radius both for the x and the y. And I want to print every time it goes from 45 degrees all the way around. Step 45 is going to put a circle at that point on the circumference of the circle, and is going to print the arctangent 2 of y comma x. Now, first of all, the arctangent 2, let me pull up the help on that. It is it uses y comma x. So you have to put the y value first and then the x value. And also it returns a value in radians, not degrees, so we have to convert it from radians back to degrees. Okay, let's see here. So I'm going to print the arctangent 2 y comma x. I don't know why they did it y comma x, but they did. Everything else is x comma y, but with this one it's y comma x. So and of course I need to multiply this times what do I have up here? I want it radians 2 degrees. Copy, paste. What happened? It keeps on shifting around. Hold on a second. Paste. Did it paste it somewhere else? Let's see. Okay, so going from the center of the circle up to right here is 45 degrees. That would have been this one right here. Okay, so then when I press a key on my keyboard, it's going to go to the next one. Right now it's in this for next loop and it's sleeping currently. So it's going to go and iterate. The next value for degrees is going to be 90. And I'm printing the arctangent value, whatever arctangent is going to return. So let's see what it does when I press a key on my keyboard. And it says 90 right here. And then over here should be 135. And then next one is right here, 180. Okay. The next one should be 225. It says minus 135, not 225. And then this right here should be 270, and it says minus 90. And this one right here should be 315, and it says minus 45. And then of course this one is going to say what? Minus 6.0 times e to the negative 100 or negative 15th power. So that's something close to 0, okay? The reason why it doesn't return absolute zeros because, well, you would have to extend the value of pi to how many decimal digits? I don't know. Infinite, right? So why is it returning a negative value? Well, that's because it only goes from pi to negative pi, which is from 0 to 180. We want these to return the values. Instead of negative numbers, we want them to return positive numbers. So what I do is let me put a variable up here called dimension as double. We'll call it angle. instead of saying print that, we'll say angle equals arctangent 2 times radians 2 degrees. And then I'll say print angle. Oh, first of all, I'll just say if angle is less than 0, then angle equals angle plus 360. And save and run. And now we'll iterate through the 45 degrees. Oh, sorry. Let me just go all the way around. I have to print it. Print angle. Whatever the value of angle is returned by arctangent 2. And save and run. And then we'll iterate through them. 45, 90, 135, 180. Right there. And 225. Now we're not getting negative values, we're getting positive values. This should be 270. Yep. This should be, what, 315? 315. And this should be 360. Nice! Instead of 0, it's 360 degrees, which is the same thing as 0, right? Okay. So that right there is demonstrating the arctangent 2 function. What if I wanted to know what the angle of each point on the circle is to, let's say, for example, the some arbitrary point. Let me put another variable up here. Let's call it arbitrary dimension as integer, arbitrary x, and arbitrary y. And I'll put those values down here. Arbitrary x equals, let's just put a random number out here, what, 200, comma 200. Okay, so 200, comma 200 is going to be in the upper right corner of the screen. And I will draw a line every time from, let me just comment these things out real quick. Comment. I will draw a line from xy to arbitrary xy. So line from x comma y, which is a point on the circle, to arbitrary y, or arbitrary x comma arbitrary y. And let's see how that goes real quick. Oops. Alright, so I have it running somewhere. No. Oh, arbitrary x, arbitrary y equals 200. Save and run. Okay, so I want to know what is the angle of this line as it goes from here to here. And I also want to know what is the angle of the line as it goes from here to here. Same thing, from here to there, to there, to there. I want to know what the angle of each one of these lines is. Okay, so, and then one more time. Okay, so that's my goal, is to know what the angle of each one of those lines is. So I want to know what is the angle of arbitrary arbitrary y minus y and arbitrary x minus x. So let me just see how that goes real quick. Okay, so nothing, huh? Oh, okay. For some reason I didn't print it. Okay. Oh, let me uncomment these things. Now let's see. Alright, so the angle from here to there, that makes sense. That is 45 degrees. And the angle from there over to the top right corner is 26 degrees and 25 degrees and so forth. What if I wanted to know what the angle is to the bottom left corner? Minus 200. Minus 200. Let's see how that works. So from here to here is 225 degrees. 236, 243, 225, 206. Okay. So you can see that I can get the angle of a line as it goes from point 1 to point 2. So what do I have in here? I have point 1 is right here. That's point 1 from here to there to point 2. Let's see. I wonder if there's a better way to explain that. Let me think for a second. Hold on a second. Maybe I can explain it like this. So here's my Cartesian coordinate system. There's my x-axis and here's my y-axis. And so that's 0, 0, and this right here is what, 200 over, okay? So if I wanted to know what the angle of this line is going from 0, 0 to up here, 70, 70.7 on the x, the value of x is increasing. So I know that it's going to be a positive x. So I would say if I wanted to know from this point, point 0, 0 to 70.7 is going to be a positive value. And if I wanted to know what a line is that's going from, what the angle of a line is going from here, man, how come does it do that? From here to here, man. Okay, so here is my first point and here is my second point. So this is going to be a negative value right here, negative 70. So it's going to be 0.1, which is 0, minus 0.2. I don't know, did I say that right? So, man, I'm getting too tired. Maybe this is a better way to say it. So if I want to know what the angle of a line is going from right here, and let's just say that, you know, there's 1, 2, 3. Okay, so I want to know the angle of the line is going right from right here over to right here. So that is going to be on the x. The x is going to increase. It's going to increase 1, 2, 3. So x. Oh wow. Undo. Where's my undo? I don't know how to undo. There it is. Okay, so the value of x is a positive number as it goes from right here. As it goes from right here up to right there. The value of x is going to be 1, 2, 3. That's the value of x. And the value of y is going up 1, 2. So y is going to equal 2. Those are positive values. Positive values. What if I wanted to know the angle of a line that's going from right here? Oh man, it's supposed to be a circle. Sorry, my bad. Really sorry, guys. What if I wanted to know the value of the angle of the line that's going from here to, say, right here? Okay, so it's going from right here over this way. Okay, so is x increasing or decreasing? X is decreasing. It's decreasing 1, 2, 3. So x is a negative. Where is this? A negative 3. And y is 0. So 0.1 how do you say that? Okay. 0.1 and 0.2. So from 0.1, which is 3, how many is it? 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so 4 minus 2, not 4, 5 minus 2 is a positive value. It's got to be 0.1, which would be 2 minus 5. That would give you, okay, so this is 0.1 and this is 0.2. 0.2 minus 0.1. That'll give you a negative x. So how does that work? So this is 0.1, this is 0.2, this is 0.1, and this is 0.2. I want to know what the angle is from 0.1 to 0.2. The way to do it is you say 0.2 minus 0.1. Okay, so 0.2, which is 2, minus 5 will give you a negative 3. It does the same thing happen right here. 0.2 is 1, 2, 3, 4. So 0.2 is 4 minus 1. Nope. We want, this is 0.1. This is 0.2, which is 4 minus 1 gives us a positive 3. Okay, it was a positive 3. Alright. So it's always 0.2 minus 0.1. And what do I have in here? I have the arbitrary point that we're trying to go to, which is 0.2, and y is where we're starting at, which is 0.1. So 0.2 and 0.1. So I should go like this. I should go like this, okay? Let's see here. Where are you? Dimension as double 0.1 x comma 0.1 y comma 0.2 x comma 0.2 y. Okay, so our arbitrary point, and we have 2 points. We have an arbitrary point that we just set at, where did I set the arbitrary point? Okay, so my arbitrary point was a negative 200. Let's change that back to positive, so that's in the upper right hand corner. And our first point is the point on the circle. So I'm going to say 0.1, 0.1x equals x, and 0.1y equals y. That's the point on the circle. And 0.2 x equals the arbitrary point, and 0.2 y equals the arbitrary y. So it's going to be 0.2 x minus, oh, this is not x, this is y. Remember, our tangent 2 uses y comma x. So 0.2 y minus 0.1 y, and then 0.2 x minus minus 0.1 x, and save and run. Okay, so the angle of the line as it goes from the point on the circle up to the upper right corner, so 0.1 and 0.2 is 45 degrees. That makes sense. And I'll push space on my keyboard to iterate through the for next loop. The angle of that line is not as steep, it's less. It makes sense, 26 degrees. And this one, 25, 33, 45, that makes sense, that's 45 degrees, right? 56, 64, and 63. So that all makes sense to you, right? And if I change my arbitrary point to somewhere else on the screen, let's say negative 200, oops, sorry, negative 200 on the x. How come? Save and run. Okay, so here's 0.1, there's 0.2. What's the angle? 154, 153, 135, 116. Okay. I hope you guys have that. Just try to remember it's always 0.2 minus 0.1. Alright, I think that'll be enough for this video.